Look, I was going to go easy on you not to hurt your feelings, but I'm only going to get this one chance. I was going to make this video about Kailer Yamamoto and talk about the ups and downs, the way his postseason went, and the plans that the Oilers apparently have for him. This was all in reference to an article on The Athletic published on June 1st by Daniel Nugent-Bowman. What I'm hearing about the Oilers' offseason plans, trade candidates, ERIK KARLSSON interest, and more. But of course, even though Yamamoto was a story that we could go out there and make a video about, after reading through this piece on The Athletic, I decided, wait a minute, there's another topic staring me right down in the face here. It's in the title of the article, and if you read the piece going forward, there's even bigger insinuations inside. Today we're talking about the Oilers and two guys that are still on their radar. Two players that they still want to go out there and get, despite all the effort from the past few months and how it didn't work out. Again, link is going to be in the description if you want to go ahead and read this Athletic article. We may come back to it later just to talk about Yamamoto and everything he has gone through, but if you do have The Athletic, you can get behind this paywall, read the article yourself. Instead of doing that, though, what I wanted to do was go over onto Oilers Access Twitter, because what they did was they tweeted out some notes from Daniel Nugent-Bowman's latest piece, which is, of course, the article that we just looked at. So, skipping by the notes on Evan Bouchard, Yamamoto, and Cody Ceci, this is what Oilers Access says, and this is why I wanted to make this video. According to Daniel Nugent-Bowman, on his most recent piece on The Athletic, the Edmonton Oilers will check in on ERIK KARLSSON again, but it seems unlikely that they acquire him. They'll also be interested in Jonathan Toews in free agency. However, they won't offer him anything more than a one-year, $1.15 million AAV deal. $1.15 million is the amount a player's contract can be buried in the AHL. And so, this is a really simple tweet. There are a few other things talked about in this article. Nick Bjugstad, Klim Kostin, RFAs, etc., but I wanted to focus on the two stars of yesteryear. Okay, no. Maybe one of them is a star of yesteryear. Another one is a star from the past who has reinvigorated himself. He got 100 points as a defenseman, the first one to do so in 30 years, and he's on pace to getting the Norris this season. Let's talk about KARLSSON and let's talk about Toews, because when it comes to the Oilers and what they need heading into 2023-2024, the biggest thing that I'm seeing everybody saying is that they need more depth. You can't rely on Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and Mattias Ekholm just by themselves, because you need other players throughout the rest of your lineup to score and make things happen. This is how the Vegas Golden Knights got by Edmonton, and now they're up 1-0 in the finals. This is a team that got by with their depth. You had so many good players who are at the bottom of the lineup making plays, getting goals, scoring points, and the Oilers have always been such a top-heavy team that you've never really seen that manifest itself at all, seemingly. Like, I know McDavid and Draisaitl and Hyman and Kane and Nugent Hopkins, they get their points, they do their thing, but after those guys, I mean, you really need more people to step up. And if you wanted to go out there and sign a guy like Jonathan Toews, for example, it makes sense why he might be on the Oilers' radar. Toews this previous season had 31 points in 53 games played, which isn't a terrible points per game, all things considered. It is a better points per game than what he had last year when he had 37 points in 71 games. And you just got to remember that even though he had a season off in 2020-2021, Toews is still, I guess you could say, Captain Serious. He still is talented enough to play in the National Hockey League, and if he's given a cheap contract like 1 year by $1.15 million a year, so he could bury that contract in the AHL just in case he doesn't work out, this could be a very good bottom six guy that can play on your penalty kill. He could maybe get a frontline, second power play type role, and just pot in some dirty rebound goals, play well in his own zone, do some pretty good defensive things, because that's what Jonathan Toews has been paid to do his entire career. Plus the leadership aspect of that. You already saw what Duncan Keith was able to do with the Oilers. Now it may be Toews' turn next. You then also have yourselves a conversation to go about with ERIK KARLSSON. Now the first thing that comes to my mind right away is that if you had this sort of trade idea manifests itself, it kind of contradicts the entire philosophy the Oilers had heading into the trade deadline of this previous season. They traded away Tyson Barrie to get Mattias Ekholm, who was really good, but you're gonna have to make some room if you wanted to get a guy like ERIK KARLSSON, a right-handed defenseman who is so good offensively that, as we said, he got 100 points this year. That's unheard of. So out goes one offensively talented right-handed defenseman in Barrie, and in comes another in a KARLSSON trade where you're probably gonna have to send somebody over. My question is, who do you send over in that type of a deal, and what do you do with the other players on your blue line? Evan Bouchard is the one that comes to my mind because he kind of took over the reins after Tyson Barrie departed the team. Evan Bouchard was an absolute monster in this postseason run, but if you get ERIK KARLSSON, all of a sudden you have to say, all right, sorry, Evan, you're going to take a back seat. Because now we have ERIK KARLSSON, and he's going to be our number one power play quarterback because that guy just got 100 points, and you didn't. That's not a slight at all on Evan Bouchard, it's just circumstantially, when you get a player that is as good as KARLSSON or who has had a season like KARLSSON has just had, you kind of have to respect that. You have to give the guy his props and say, all right, we're hurting our team if we don't decide to put him on power play 1 because this guy got 100 points. He's really good. He deserves that respect for us to be able to put him in that spot. And so, when it comes to what the Oilers could be using more of versus what they have, I feel like this ERIK KARLSSON idea doesn't really align, especially when you take a look at the big steps that Bouchard did after Barrie was traded away. No disrespect to Ekholm, but he's not the offensive dynamo that either of these two, or I guess 3, are. He isn't right-handed either, so it's not really the same there. And so, at the end of the day, the fact that the Oilers are going to try to look at this once more, it kind of boggles my mind. It's going to be intriguing to see if there are any talks that continue with ERIK KARLSSON and the Oilers. It'd be interesting to see what sort of a trade package could be formed there. I mean, you gotta get a haul for this dude. You have to. If you're San Jose, you cannot afford to screw up an ERIK KARLSSON trade. You already did that once. Okay, maybe not entirely, but you got a 100-point season out of it, so I guess it's okay. You can't screw this up again. You'd have to get firsts, you'd have to get at least a prospect, you'd have to get a defenseman coming back, and that's all without even considering the cap hit implications that the Oilers would have to go through to make this sort of a deal work. So, it's so much of a hassle, but at the end of the day, if Ken Holland is going to check in, then Ken Holland is going to check in. You can't really control that. I mean, I guess it's okay to see him doing due diligence on the market, just making sure that there aren't any loose ends or stones left unturned, just making sure, you know, just in case ERIK KARLSSON is available for something that's pretty cheap, which is not going to be the case because he's going to win the Norris this year, but just in case. As for Toews, though, I do like that idea quite a bit. There probably will be a few other teams looking for his services because, I mean, the guy has a reputation around the NHL for being a good player, even if he's not the 80-plus point scorer that he had been in the past. The longevity, the coming back ever since he was injured earlier on, the championships, the pedigree, it's all there for Jonathan Toews, and if the Oilers are able to get it done at 1 year, 1.15 AAV, then hey, that'd be pretty good. Maybe all you need here is a call from Connor McDavid. That's what happened last time, right? Connor McDavid calls you up, you say, hey, I want to play with you, man. What are you going to say, no to the best player this game has seen in a decade or two? Who was that, Tyson Barrie who had that happen to him, where he got the call from Conor? Something like that. I may be misremembering my Oilers lore, but either way, if you're a fan of Edmonton, let me know in the comments all your opinions about the idea of Jonathan Toews being targeted by your team, as well as Ken Holland checking in on what the ERIK KARLSSON market is looking like too. If you're a San Jose Sharks fan who had stumbled across this video, what are your thoughts on KARLSSON getting sent over to Edmonton once more? We're still talking about it after all this time. What is your opinion on what a potential trade package could look like, and what do you want personally from Edmonton in this scenario? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Juraj 99, and bye.